Okay, the fastest way to get a quality girlfriend is the caveman method. This is something I've done many times, and I've been helping my clients do this for over a year and a half. So in this video, I want to explain what the method is and why it works so well. Then I'll break down the actual strategy that you can implement and start seeing results in as fast as 1 to 2 weeks, even if you're starting from literally nothing. First, I want to give you a bit of background. So I'm Joseph, and when I was 19, I became a sales manager at this door-to-door company. And so I taught a lot of guys communication. Then I started studying dating for the last 4 years. I've taken 8 courses on dating, and I've read a ton of books on psychology. I've approached thousands of women to practice and also test a lot of this theory. And so for over a year and a half, I've been coaching men live, and I've been able to observe a lot of the patterns that happen. And so 4 years ago, I had this epiphany because I had just gotten out of this 2 year relationship. And so I had to start from nothing, from square zero. And of course, I tried dating apps because that's what everybody else does, and it seemed easy, but this felt very strange for me. Okay, I didn't like taking pictures of myself very much. I didn't like curating a profile. I sort of felt like I was digitally pimping myself out. Okay, and also, I did get some dates. It's not like I quit because I got zero results, but really, these dates were not women that excited me. Okay, they weren't the highest quality women. And so I did some research online, and that's when I learned the idea of cold approach or meeting women in person. And so one day I go to this park by a river, and I see this blonde girl sitting there reading a book, and she looked cute. And so I forced myself to go up and approach her. Okay, I was very nervous. I was stuttering. I could feel my face turning red. I was blushing. All right, but I make it through that first minute. All right, and I sort of relax a little bit. And then the girl tells me to sit down next to her, which excited me. Okay, very good sign for me. And so then I end up talking to her for 5 to 10 minutes. I end up asking her out. Okay, and then we're on a date like a few days later. Now, this opened up a whole new world for me that I didn't know existed before, and this really excited me, and this is what I've been doing ever since. Now, really, you have to look at what are your other options here in dating, okay? Because you have dating apps, okay? Now, you are going to be competing with AI on dating apps. Guys are now using AI to edit the photos of themselves to look more handsome, to look higher status, to look like they've traveled all across the world and they have a million different hobbies, right? So the thing is, you're literally penalized for being honest and not using AI now and lying to women, because that's what a lot of guys are doing now on these dating apps. And this stuff is very realistic too. It's not even like some BS AI. All right. Also, of course, there's a bad ratio. So it's going to be a sausage fest on there. And you have low influence. Okay. A lot of guys don't think about this, but you're literally trying to get like a stranger to hang out with you through a screen for the first time. Okay. So she's seeing two-dimensional images of you, and you don't have a lot of influence like that, rather than in person. Now, your second option is social circle. And honestly, social circle is amazing. Like, if you can meet a girl through your social circle, that's great. Like, absolutely go for it. But here's the thing, you have limited options, right? Unless you're a celebrity and you have 100 people in your social circle, you're gonna run out of options pretty quickly. Okay, unless you want to throw massive parties, right? You want to deal with all of this logistics of planning an event and this really complicated strategy of, positioning yourself as like the leader of this party, right? Not everybody really wants to do that, okay? So that's social circle. Your third option is Instagram, which is also low influence. You're DMing a girl, hoping she responds to you. you know, I think this can be good if you have some social media clout, right? So like if you want to become an influencer and have, 20,000 followers, then yeah, I think it might have some influence, but other than that, not very good. Now, your fourth option is cavemanning, which is what I'm talking about today, meeting women in person. And the reason that I call this cavemanning, well, one, it doesn't involve technology, but two, it's based in evolutionary psychology, the principle that women are attracted to the same thing in a tribal environment that they're attracted to now, okay, which is behavior. Right? Back in a caveman environment, there wasn't a Bugatti, there wasn't a fancy clothes. What women had to go off of was a man's behavior, like his vibe that emanated off of him. Okay, and so this is what cavemanning develops: composure, confidence, social skill around women. All right, and this is why it works so well. Okay, one, it's high influence. So you're actually face to face with the girl in front of you, right? It's sort of like the difference between, I don't know, watching pornography versus real sex. Like, obviously, real sex is going to turn you on more, right? So women, when they're right in front of you, there's more attraction that can be generated that way, and you have their full attention. That's something that doesn't get talked about enough. When you DM a girl on Instagram, for example, you're 1 out of 20 guys in her DMs. Or you try to match with a girl on Tinder, you're 1 out of 20 guys she's corresponding with on the app. Okay, when you actually go up to a girl, you have her full attention in that moment. Okay, she's not scrolling on her phone, laying in bed. Okay, so this is very huge. The other part about this is that it's a blue ocean strategy, meaning it's pretty wide open. Not a ton of guys are doing this, okay? Most guys are always just going to rely on dating apps, okay? And, maybe DMing girls on Instagram because, they're afraid to approach women. They're not willing to overcome their approach anxiety at all. And so they take the easy route. And of course, whenever there's an easy route in life, don't expect to get amazing results. Like, don't expect to get life-changing results from pressing buttons on your phone. That's a general rule in life. If something doesn't take a lot of balls to do, okay, a lot of guys are also going to be doing it. It's going to be very saturated. It's probably not going to be life-changing. General rule in life. Okay, so blue ocean strategy, you're going to approach women, okay, that really don't get approached at all. So you're going to stand out a lot. And also, this is transformational. So not only is this like a way to meet women, but like I said, you actually develop composure. Okay, you get to work on being more bold. You get to work on flirting. Okay, when you get a date on a dating app, okay, it can cause you to want to play it safe. Like, you're not really going to want to go on this date and experiment with a lot of things. Okay, you're going to play it safe. But with cold approach, you're not really going to see these women ever again. So you're able to experiment and really push the bounds with being bold, with flirting, and developing your personality. So it's very transformational. All right, so one concern you might have with cavemanning is like, I don't have time for that. I don't have time to actually, get off my phone and talk to women in person. And to be honest with you, talking to 10 to 20 girls a week, it's pretty easy actually. It's really not that difficult to do. All right, you have Friday night, Saturday, Sunday. Okay, if you're working in the city, you also have weekdays during lunch hour and also like rush hour right after work. All right, 14, approaches per week. That's only 2 a day. 2 a day. Okay, and out of those 2, not all of them are going to last a long time anyways. One of those girls might have a boyfriend already or be extremely busy. Okay, so I just don't believe in this thing that I don't have time to do this. All right, the other concern you might have is like, won't I burn out doing this? Like, won't I grow really tired of doing this approaching? And the truth is that people don't burn out of doing something when they're winning. Okay, so the goal is you want to get over the learning curve ASAP because there is a learning curve. Like, at first, it might be a bit difficult for you to do this. I know it was for me. Okay, But then you start getting wins, which is very motivating. Like once I got that first actual date, okay, it was highly motivating to continue. I didn't get burnt out. And so most people, the way they do it is it's like an initial sprint period of focus, okay, going really hard on this aspect of their life. Okay, and then once they get to a certain level, or maybe they are happy in a relationship, they ease off the gas for a little bit. Okay, and then let's say they want to continue and they hit a plateau, like they're not really growing, then they might do another sprint. But it's like off and on, it's not always going extremely hard at killing yourself every single day for eternity. And that's the other thing. This isn't for eternity. Like you're probably not going to be doing this for a decade or for the rest of your life. You're going to gain some experience with women, okay, and a skill set, and widen your pool of options. Okay, then likely choose a girl to be monogamous or marry. Most guys don't really want to just keep dating forever, right? Until they're freaking 60 years old. All right. Most want a quality relationship, right? They want a girl where they can have a deep relationship with eventually. Okay, so now I want to walk you through the actual strategy for you to start meeting and attracting women in person. And it starts with the open. Okay, you got to start the conversation. There's like 4 different openers that I want to talk about. And the first one's called a direct opener. So for example, hey, excuse me, I saw you walking by and I thought you seemed interesting. I wanted to come say hi. I'm Joseph. What's your name? All right, so here you're just being very direct about your intent, and you can fill in the blank with whatever compliment that you want to do. It can help if it's actually specific to the girl. Now, this is good if you're a beginner because right off the bat, you're starting off with intent. Okay, a lot of beginners have the problem of being too friendly, and so with this, you're just getting that out of the way. Now, the second type of opener I want to talk about is the push-pull opener. So here's where you're giving a tease and a bit of validation simultaneously. So for example, hey, excuse me, I was going to meet a friend, but you have a confident way of walking, by the way. Is that like something you practice in the mirror every day? Okay, so the validation is I'm saying she has a confident way of walking, and the tease or the push away is I'm framing it as her being a try hard a little bit, okay? And I love this opener. This is actually probably my favorite opener. It's very versatile. And the third one is a situational opener. So let's say you're standing in a line at a coffee shop and the girl who's in front of you, she's wearing the same hoodie as you, or you have a similar outfit. You could just make an observation about that, based off the situation and say something like, hey, you shouldn't copy people's outfit like that. Right, so this one is good because it comes across as very spontaneous. Like this isn't something that you can script, but the downside is that it's very indirect. And so if you're a beginner, you might just fall into the trap of being very friendly right after the opener. Now the fourth type of opener is sort of gimmicky. It's called an opinion opener. And this is one that I wouldn't use in the daytime. I would only use this one at a nightclub or in a bar. So I wrote this one. It's like, hey, quick question. My friend said his older brother was thinking about proposing to this girl who his younger brother had actually already been with, had already slept with in college. The older brother, he's like in denial about this and he still wants to marry her. But my friend, he's like trying to tell him it's a terrible idea and he should never do that. I don't know. Do you think he should still propose? Right, so this is good because it really gets the girl's attention. Like she can really engage into this story. And this one specifically, women like, okay, because it involves like drama and women love this kind of stuff. Now the downside of this one is that you can use this as a crutch. And then once again, you can fall into the trap of being very friendly after this and never starting to flirt with a girl. Okay, so those are the opens, but do not overthink this. Okay, really, it doesn't matter that much what you start the conversation with, because either way, you're just going to quickly transition off of the opener right after it. So do not overthink this at all, please. So there are some keys to success with opening women. There's three. One is volume. You want to make sure that you're projecting your voice. Like, don't have a weak beta male voice, okay? Now the second one is distance. You don't want to jump scare a girl. A lot of guys will do this. They'll walk by the girl and they'll open her when they're literally like in the girl's face. So this is a sort of a jump scare, and it doesn't give her enough time to see you. Another thing guys will do is they'll do it like 10 yards away, which is too far. The other one is pacing. So a lot of guys, they will jumble all their words together on their open and say, hey, excuse me, I saw you walking by and I thought you seemed interesting and I wanted to come say hi. You want to have pacing where you actually pause. Like, hey, excuse me, I saw you walking by. I was just going over there to see my friend, but I really liked that outfit, by the way. I had to come say hi. Right, so notice how I'm pausing right there, and that tension, that calmness, one, it's gonna get the girl's attention, but two, it's gonna lower her guard. So those are the three keys of opening right there, really. Now I wanna get into the three F's of how to actually succeed in your conversation. Like, I have literally cracked the code on this. These are the only three things you need to know to be wildly successful at actually approaching women in person. All right, now the first F is frame. So specifically, you want to make sure that you have a non-needy frame, right? You need to make sure that you're not seeking rapport with women, meaning talking in an upward intonation like, hey, excuse me, I just came over and I had to come say hi, right? So you need to monitor your vibe. And a great way that you can do this is actually recording yourself, okay, using the voice memo app on your phone in some headphones. And then you'll really be able to audit your vibe with women, right? Because it's easy to, think that you're a stone cold pimp, you're a stone cold player when you're not actually in the field talking to women. But what happens when you talk to that really attractive girl is you tend to go into autopilot. You tend to revert back into old automatic patterns, and then you actually don't know what you're doing. And this is one of the reasons why it can be greatly beneficial to get a coach, if you can afford it. It's not cheap, because he's going to be able to see you from a different perspective, okay, and identify what's going on. By the way, if you want me to personally help you with this so that I can help you start getting on some dates in as fast as really 1 to 2 weeks with this method, you can just click the link underneath this video and book a free call with me. Okay, but you need to understand also with your frame that you're not performing. Okay, you're not putting on this huge gesture maxing act where you're being a goofball to hold the girl's attention, right? That's also a part of being a needy frame. Now, the frame that you want to embody is, are you good enough to be with me? Okay, so you want to flip the script. Instead of going up to the girl and auditioning for her approval, trying to brag or convince or qualify yourself, okay, you're actually qualifying her. And if you hold this frame, like you truly practice this and embody it, it will start to naturally come out through your communication with women, okay, and then place you in the position of leverage where she's actually explaining herself to you. This is the absolute best frame to have, and this is very powerful. Okay, the second F that you need to get good at is flowing. All right, a lot of guys have the problem of running out of things to say. So they get into the conversation and they blank, they eject, or they just start asking repetitive questions, which really kills the vibe, really turns the girl off. So you need to learn how to just flow, similar to how like a rapper would just freestyle forever. Okay, this is gonna be huge for you, because if you can flow, all right, what's gonna happen is the longer that you spend with a girl, the more that she gets to see your personality, the more attraction will build over time. Okay, And so the way to do this is to not overthink. Do not try to say the perfect words. Do not try to go on this mission of searching for what are the words that I say specifically to women. And I've mentioned this in a past video, but it's not about the right words, okay? Because there's so many different guys in the world who are wildly successful with women, right? There's probably a ukulele player who's wildly successful with women, an architect, an astronomer, an engineer, and they have different personalities, different stories they tell, different humor. And so if you looked at a transcript of the words they said, it would be different, right? So the commonality is their frame, right? It's how they feel about themselves, okay, and their confidence, and also their flirting, which I'm about to get to. Those are the commonalities, okay? It's not they chose to say the perfect words, right, in the conversation. It's not like that at all. Instead of doing that, focus on developing your own swag, okay? And so don't overthink this. Don't try to be perfect. Perfectionism ruins your charisma. You need to allow yourself to make mistakes, okay, in conversation. And so the frame that you want to have is that your input is valuable just because it comes from you. Okay, when you have that mindset that, you know, my story is interesting, what I have to say is interesting because it comes from me, okay, then that frame will become real. Then what you say will be interesting. That's just how it works. It's sort of like how I'm making this video right now, and you can sort of feel that I have passion for the subject, that I have conviction in the stuff that I say. You know, if I didn't believe in the stuff that I said, then you wouldn't believe in the stuff that I said, okay? And so that's kind of how frame works, all right? And also with flowing, another principle is you need to give the girl space to respond. A lot of guys have the problem of being unable to hold any sort of tension, and also really being nervous, really needing the conversation to go right. So they think that if they talk at a lightning speed and never allow there to be a pause, it gives them a higher chance of holding the girl's attention. But when you do this, the girl never gets the chance to actually invest, to ask you questions, all right, and join in on the conversation. And if she doesn't have investment, okay, she's not going out on a date with you. She's not going to follow your lead, anything like that. The girl must invest in qualifying herself to you. Okay, that's good. And also into the conversation and opening up to you as well, so that you guys can also form a connection. All right, so give her some space to talk. That is the second F. Now the third F is flirting. All right, so you must flirt with women, or else they're going to view you as a non-sexual person and they're going to friend zone you. Women generally aren't going to be the one to start to flirt with you first either. You have to take the initiative as a man, all right? Because for a man, it's not a big deal to flirt with a girl and, okay, it doesn't work. But for a girl to flirt with a guy and the guy's not interested in him, okay, that can be there can be social repercussions for that. She can be viewed as a slut. Flirting is so important. It builds sexual tension. You need to learn how to do this. I'm not going to go into too much depth in this video because I literally just made an in-depth guide on my last video. I'll put the link underneath this video. But so you want to understand that flirting is a vibe. It's not only the words you say. It's not just, okay, let me give the girl a compliment. It's also how you say it. You know, it's how you look at her and hold eye contact when you give her a compliment. It's like, oh, quit looking at me like that. And then I give her sort of seductive eye contact, you know, kind of like that, right? Right now I'm looking at a camera, so it's a bit different. You know, it's also touch. So it's also, you know, touching the girl on the shoulder and then escalating up from beyond that, making sure the girl is comfortable. All right, so you just have to learn how to flirt. Once again, link will be in the description for how to flirt. All right. Now, the last part of this is your close. Okay, so you can say, you seem cool. We should hang out sometime. What's your number? All right, so what you're doing is you're assuming the close. You're assuming that she wants to hang out and that she's going to give you her number. And that's why you're not asking, can I have your number? You're asking, what is your number? All right. And then you're just pulling out your phone and you're ready to get the digits. That's exactly how you want to play this. Okay. And so you're self-assured, but you're also sincere. Like, you want to be sincere that you actually want to see this girl again. Okay, because, in the past, I used to close women, but I didn't really believe in myself, right? I was just going through the motions of saying the words, but I didn't really believe in it. Okay, you have to believe in it. You have to believe that this will happen. Okay, once again, that frame will carry to the girl, and she'll know that you are actually confident in yourself. All right, you must have had some prior success with doing this. You must be a man of value with how much conviction you have with your close, okay? So that's how you close. And all this might seem like a lot to learn, but you don't need to master this stuff instantly to start seeing results. And I want to talk about a couple of my clients recently. So one guy, he was a 30-year-old cybersecurity analyst. He came to me as a virgin, and he had huge fears around approaching women. Within 1 week, okay, he approached a girl at his gym and got a date. All right, another guy, 45 years old in finance, he had 0 dates in 1 year when he came to me, so serious dry spell. And we looked at his interactions. He treated every girl like a friend, and he had no clue how to flirt. All right, within 3 weeks, dating a girl that he was truly excited about. Okay, and me, my first approach that actually led to success and led to a date, I was blushing during this approach, right? I was stuttering. I had no clue what I was doing, but I stayed in the set, and then I closed, I got the number, and I had success. Why? Because I just took action. And so if you want to start seeing results with this, literally just start taking action now. Don't start studying 100 different videos on doing this. I just gave you all the essentials plus a video on flirting that I'm going to link. But other than that, you could literally start getting dates today or tomorrow. Okay? Do not make the mistake that so many other guys do, which is studying this stuff theoretically for years even, and then never actually building their confidence or gaining a skill set, okay? But the way to get better at this is you just want to practice one thing at a time. Don't overwhelm yourself with, trying to learn everything. Just ask yourself, what do I struggle with? Do I even flirt at all with women? Okay, do I just get a bunch of numbers that the girl never texts me back? Okay, do I need to learn how to flirt? Am I needy with women? Am I running out of things to say? And then just work on that one thing when you go do an approach. If you just keep doing that over and over again, well, you're going to improve and you're going to get better results and you're going to date more and more attractive women over time, okay? All right. Now, the second part of this is not just social skills. And the way that I realized this was, I had approached probably thousands of women at that point, and I realized I had really hit a plateau, okay, with the quality of women that I was able to attract, but also with my confidence, okay? And I realized that the solution was not to just do more and more action. I realized that I still had a negative self-image, okay? And so I want to talk about this. The way that you view yourself largely determines your ability to succeed, not just with women, but in athletics and business and in life. All right, if you view yourself as unattractive, for example, you will actually get a feeling of guilt. Like, let's say you manage to start dating like a quality woman. You would feel guilty about that. That wouldn't align with your identity. Okay, and you likely self-sabotage. You'd find some way, to screw it up. But if you view yourself as unique, valuable, confident, then that energy will emanate from you to women. All right, so how do we actually accomplish this and build a new self-image that's actually conducive with dating like really quality women, okay? And the first step is to do a reset. Okay, so when I got out of that, 2-year relationship, actually near the end of that 2-year relationship, I realized that my life was sort of going downhill. Okay, because I was just hanging out with this girl. I wasn't disciplined anymore like I had been in the past. Okay, and I lost touch of my goals because I got distracted by this girl. All right, so what I had to do, like near the end of that relationship, was I had to do a reset. Okay, so I got a haircut. I stopped playing video games. Okay, I started reading books. I started learning new information. I started meditating. I got a new style. You know, when I broke up with her, obviously I moved out with her. But I really did a full reset. And what this can do, it's sort of like it wipes the slate clean so you can rebuild as the 2.0 version of yourself. You know, another thing you can do is, you know, start a new activity. Maybe you do a new hobby. Maybe you start going out to nightclubs, you know, etc. But that's step number one. Step number two is to identify negative self-talk and limiting beliefs that are not true. All right, so you might be very surprised if for the next 3 days you just stayed vigilant and aware and you wrote down every single negative thought that occurred in your mind. Okay, a lot of times we just take this for granted. The way that we're constantly thinking throughout the day, we don't even realize how ingrained negative self-judgment has been. Okay, it's insane. And when I first did this, there was a lot that I noticed. Okay, so then the next step is that you're gonna notice themes that will reveal negative beliefs. Like, let's say theoretically you had all these negative thoughts and it had this theme that said, okay, maybe I think of myself as a loser. Okay, maybe I'm not worthy. The next step is you would want to test the belief. You know, is there evidence that you're a loser? And if you really applied some rationality towards this, I mean, what could there be? What evidence could there be that you're a loser? Like, what objectively is a loser in the first place? Right? Who defines what a loser is? Right? And so maybe what's the evidence against that? Well, actually, I've won at this, I've won at this, and this, and this. And I guarantee you could find a bunch. Okay? And this will make it aware that your belief is false, like it's skewed. It might have served you in the past, it might have kept you protected at some point, maybe to have a negative belief. But at this point, it doesn't serve you at all. So now you want to create a new belief that's actually aligned with who you want to be, not maybe who you were in the past or who you misinterpreted yourself as being even, which is very common too. Okay, so what's your new belief? You know, I'm a winner. That's it. And the next thing you want to do is you want to behave as if you were the person you want to become. All right, and I have a perfect example for this. So when I started working in door-to-door sales, my boss, my CEO, he was like a multi-millionaire guy. You know, had every car, had watches, everything, all right? And obviously amazing at sales. And, you know, he trained us sometimes. Occasionally he'd be in the office and we got training from him. So from this, I could kind of see how his mind operated and how he acted. Now, when I went out into the field, into the neighborhoods to knock on doors, okay, all day long, I actually embodied my CEO. Like I pretended that I was literally him. Like I am a multi-millionaire CEO. Okay, and that allowed me to step out of this old version of myself, okay, who didn't believe in himself, into this new version of myself. This guy with all this experience, this guy with confidence. All right, and that really helps me acting like my CEO. Now, I don't recommend that you necessarily have to act as another person, although I do think it can help you to get around people who are confident. Okay, to get around people who are good with women, or whoever you want to emanate, sort of. And that's, you're sort of going to be able to pick up on their behavior as well. I think that can be good, but mainly I want you to imagine yourself just being the 2.0 version of yourself. Okay, the version of yourself that's confident, that can easily walk up to any girl. Okay, that has a high self-esteem, that knows his value. All right, etc. Whatever the 2.0 version is, just behave as if you were them. Walk like them. Talk like them. What hobbies do they do? All right. Now, step number 4 is you want to log wins that support your new beliefs for yourself. All right, so let's say your new belief is that actually, yeah, women do like me. Actually, I'm very attractive as a guy. Well, you want to log wins that support that belief to solidify this into your subconscious mind. All right, so, oh, that girl smiled at me. Yeah, it's because I'm attractive. There's evidence. Oh, yeah, that girl was asking questions about me. Yeah, it's because I'm attractive. Oh, I got a date. That's perfect evidence. And so you just start logging this, maybe in a journal, and then you really solidify this new version of yourself. Okay, a lot of times you can overlook this, so it's very good to write it down. Now, step 5 is visualization. Visualize the 2.0 version of yourself and feel the emotion. Okay, the mind cannot tell the difference between reality and something vividly imagined. Okay, in the book Psycho-Cybernetics, he was talking about this story where they did a study and they had 3 groups of students shoot free throws. Okay, in the first group, these people, they did not practice their free throw at all. Okay, the second group, they just visualized themselves shooting free throws, but they never actually practiced. In the third group, they actually practiced. And then they did that for like 3 weeks, and they measured the percentage at, before and then after the 3 weeks ended. Okay, and the group who didn't practice at all, they did not improve at all. They might have even lost some. The group who actually practiced physically, they improved a little bit. Okay, but the group who just practiced in their mind, like visualizing themselves making free throws, they actually increased by like 15% or something like that, like something crazy. All right, so that is the power of visualization. And when you visualize yourself being the person that you're becoming, the 2.0, all right, you get to feel what that's like. You get to feel what that's like to feel success socially. Maybe if your goal is to be a successful businessman and now you're imagining yourself in a penthouse, okay, you actually get to groove that, into your programming, into your subconscious mind. And it works especially well if you do this vividly. Like if you incorporate your senses into this, sounds, the way your skin feels, okay, smells, taste, touch, etc. Be as vivid as possible and then imagine that feeling, the feelings you get from being that person. Okay, this has helped me and my clients tremendously. Now, I do go a lot more in depth in my private mentorship, and I'm actually able to help you in a much more personalized way to you. If you're a guy that's not going on consistent dates right now with quality women, and you want me to personally help you to achieve that, okay, you can click the link underneath this video, go to my website, and then book a free call. It'll be with me personally. That's all I have for the video today. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you soon.